B1 family, welcome to Blacklogic. So tonight we're going to break down who is simply going to win the presidential election. This is my prediction, and I know a lot of people are saying, Blacklogic, you're jumping the gun, and I'm not. But before we even get into Donald Trump and as well as Joe Biden, we must break down Nikki Haley because we understand that she's inside the run and that she still may have a chance and opportunity to compete for the presidency of the United States of America. But family, I tell you this, I beg to differ. I believe that her presidential run is already over, and she's kind of doing this out of using women's strength and, grit in the backbone fields of South Carolina and Bamberg. And I'm just not buying it. You have lost the Iowa caucus as well as the New Hampshire caucus. You don't have a chance in hell to win against Donald Trump. He is the front runner for the Republican Party. He has his own clan. He has his own MAGA crowd, and no one is standing in Donald Trump's way. So Nikki Haley doesn't have a chance in hell. But instead of giving you lip service, I'll give you my bias and my discriminatory perspective of Nikki Haley. I kind of did a broke down on her on my other channel called The Black Post. You guys want a bigger breakdown of Nikki Haley and why she doesn't have a chance in hell becoming the next presidential candidate for the Republican Party, then head over to The Black Post, subscribe, like, and watch the video. In that order, no other order than that, okay? So with that being said, we have to break down Nikki Haley because if we don't, we won't understand how insignificant she is to the Republican Party. So when I look at Nikki Haley, some people may think this is a small feat, family, but it isn't. She doesn't even use her first name. She used Nikki. And as we build this up, you're going to understand why this is important. Because I'm not stating you can't use your first name, your middle name, your second middle name, your last name as your first name. I know some people go with their last name because it sounds more pleasing. Maybe a Paul George. Some people may call him George. Some people may call him Paul. He has two first names. So let's not play the name game. What I'm referring to is her first name is Nimrata, and then you get into Nikki Rohanwa Haley. Okay, I might be pronouncing that wrong, but that's okay. So she goes by Nikki Haley because she married an American man. She married an American white man, which is perfectly fine. Her choice, her preference. So now that we know her name, and now that we know she is Indian, she is first generation American Indian, but her mother and father was born and raised in India. So now that we have a breakdown that she is a first first generation immigrant. And so since she was born on American soil, she's qualified to run for president. But this is why I'm telling you she's not going to be president, okay? I think this is going to help us to understand Nikki Haley a lot better, why we stated her names in that particular order. Nimrata, Nikki, Rohanda, Haley. Let's get into it. So here we go. So this was an interview. This was an article on Politico that Nikki Haley was, pretty much being expelled and exposed at the same time, okay? And I'm not going to stay here before you long because she is not the main act, okay? This is kind of your appetizer. It states here in the announcement video, she opens with an aerial shot of Bamberg, South Carolina, her birthplace, speaking about a time when railroad tracks divided the town by race, and she seemingly didn't find with either side. So there was a railroad that divided the town by race, and you didn't know what side you belonged on because you was pretty much in the middle, being the brown girl, as she calls herself. Looks like she used a lot of skin cream and cake soap, but we won't go there. She repurposed her well-trod line. I was the proud daughter of an Indian immigrant, not black, not white. I was different. Okay. Not a problem. There's no problem there. There's no red flags. Let's move on. Okay, she's hugging a black man at Emmanuel AME Church. That's fine. There's nothing wrong there. Okay. South Carolina's first governor of color, and during her tenure, following the gruesome 2015 killing of 9 worshipers at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, a historical black church, at the hands of a white supremacist, it was Haley that led the state in efforts in removing the Confederate battle flag. Okay. She removed some flags. I guess that was difficult, but it's the way they're reading it. I move on. From the State House grounds, a point she referenced in her announcement video. Then I'm just kind of giving you a build up here, family. And here it is. Still, there are other parts of her biography and political record that are a bit more difficult to reconcile. In 2001, for example, she reportedly listed her race as white on her voter registration card 3 years before she entered into elective politics. Why would she ever report herself as white? Why would she ever, I don't know, use Nikki and Haley, but leave out her Indian names? I don't know. I'm just asking, family. I'm just asking questions. I don't know. And then when given, and you're conservative in the Republican Party, so that's kind of like 2 strikes against you, right? Especially when it comes to black folk. Not all black folk, but you know what I mean. Because unfortunately, we've been voting for Democrat for the past 60 damn years, and we have nothing to show for it. And then we have other people, other black Americans, who are telling us, oh, we shouldn't worry about reparations, or the president doesn't have any power. I've been reading your comments. Oh, yeah, I've been reading your comments. What people don't understand, the president has an executive order power. Hold on. The president has executive order powers. And then what simply occurs if Congress doesn't like that, they try to avoid that bill. They try to avoid that legislation. And guess what the president can do? He can veto it. He can veto Congress and still have it pass. So all of the things, or one of the things that we are owed and need, is cash payment reparations. 2, being a protected class. And 3, replacing this system that we currently live in of injustice with a system of justice. Basic 3 things. Basic 3 things. And I know there are going to be some zingers in here. There's going to be people who are not going to like what I'm going to say this evening. But we're going to speak the truth because it's important. This election, they just now reported from the Census Bureau that Black Americans are at 15% of the population. So as we've been stating for the past year, we're 50 million strong. We're 50 million strong, family. So believe me, as they are pouring in these illegal immigrants, okay? And when they are pouring in these illegal immigrants, let me tell you, if you don't believe that a replacement theory is in place, then y'all ass need to wake up. I'm just being real with you guys tonight. You guys need to wake up if you don't think slowly but surely that you're replacing the lower class of America with a lower class of non-Americans. That's all I'm saying. So she registered herself as white on her voter registration card. Now, this famous clip that I know you guys already seen, I just want to jog your memory.
Civil War.
Well, don't come with an easy question or anything. I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was?
See, I think that's when we have a problem. Everybody, please give me a thumbs up if you heard that. I believe I fixed my sound. I do apologize with all my other video clips, family, but I believe I fixed my sound. Please give me a thumbs up in the chat if you hear it. Nonetheless, he asked her, what do you believe the cause of the Civil War? And she spoke some mumbo jumbo bullcrap and then flipped the question She flipped a question on one of the guys, in the audience there. And he responded, I'm not running for president. I'm not answering any questions.
I'm sorry? I mean, I think it always comes down to the role of government and what the rights of the people are. And I will always stand by the fact that I think government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. Government doesn't need to tell you how to live your life. They don't need to tell you what you can and can't do. They don't need to be a part of your life. They need to make sure that you have freedom. We need to have capitalism. We need to have economic freedom. We need to make sure that we do all things so that individuals have the liberties so that they can have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom.
Okay, so what we're noticing here already is that Nikki Haley just did a bunch of word salad. She didn't say anything at all because everyone knows the main cause of the Civil War is because the South wanted to keep Black people enslaved because of free labor, and the North wasn't really trying to free the slave. They were jealous that the South was more powerful and they were richer. I won't really say more powerful because they lost the war, but they were richer. They had tons of money. They had tons of money in the South over the North. And typically when you read the history, the North was getting jealous. So there's like, hey, we need to free these slaves. That's the only way they was going to rock that bed. That's the only way they were trying to undermine the Confederates at the time. And so in order to, I guess, kill two birds with one stone, where you have this piece of land where you can unify, you can see the power in that long term with longevity. That simply was the cause of the Civil War, was based upon keeping Africans enslaved. So listen to this.
To do or be anything they want to be without government getting in the way. What do you want me to say about slavery?
So, like I said before, I'm pretty sure everyone has essentially seen that clip. I hope that you have, because basically, she like, what do you want me to say about slavery? Like, she didn't even know that was the cause of the Civil War. Like, she act like it was an off point. So that's the reason. Well, that's one of the many reasons why Nikki Haley will not, she will not be the Republican nominee for the president of these United States of America. So let's go a little bit deeper and let's now break down Trump and Biden and how, in some regards, they differ, but they have some slight similarities. And we're going to try to power through this, family. We're not going to try to cover every single thing, but there are some highlighted points that I really want to point out really quickly. So here we go. As you see, the first one up here is infrastructure. And I just highlighted some things here. If it pops up, let me see if my highlight points here. Here we go. So this is about infrastructure. Trump, there appeared to be bipartisan support for such a bill. He claimed he wanted a big and bold $2 trillion plan as part of the next congressional coronavirus relief package. And then Biden, he wanted, a 10-year plan, $1.3 trillion infrastructure plan as part of his election campaign. And that was to move the U.S. to net zero greenhouse gas emissions and to create jobs to extend the middle class. Okay. And now we're moving on to taxes. I'm just giving you a very, very brief comparison of infrastructure, taxes, healthcare, trade. You see the table of contents to your left. It says between 2025 and 2030, these tax cuts will cost the federal government $1.5 trillion. They basically stating here that Trump's tax plan would have cost the federal government $1.5 trillion. It goes on to state Trump's agenda mentioned in Made in America tax credits for companies, expanding the Opportunity Zones program boost to invest in economically distressed communities. Again, if they're not naming Black, that's whack, and that could be anybody else except for us, okay? Biden limit any tax hikes to people earning above $400,000. He said that he will limit any tax hike that people over $400,000. So that sounds almost like something that Trump would do. Limit a certain amount of taxes for people who are making almost $500,000 a year. Interesting. Tax proposal could increase revenue by $4 trillion between 2021 and 2030. Okay. Now we're moving to healthcare. Trump administration proposed deep healthcare spending cuts over the next decade. Let me blow this up for you guys. Especially Medicaid and the affordable health cap, $1 trillion over 10 years, and Medicaid, $756 billion over 10 years. Protecting Social Security and Medicare besides lowering healthcare insurance premiums and ending surprise billing. Okay. That's Trump. Here's Biden. Instead of the Medicare for all plan suggested by his progressive rivals, Biden said he wanted to create a similar public health insurance option. He also wanted to lower the eligibility age for Medicare to 60 from 65. And then 97 Americans are covered under his plan, which is expected to cost $750 billion over a decade. It would have been paid for through the revenue from his capital gains reform. Okay. So we're going to fly through this, family, because there's so much. We're going to get into the heart and meat. I'm telling you, there's a lot to cover here, but it's going to be good. It's going to be great information. And this is the reason why I believe Trump will win. Listen, I'm apolitical. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not an independent. I'm on Black empowerment. Whatever benefits us as a whole, that's what I'm on. Trump, he promised to put America first in all dealings with countries and penalize those the U.S. has a high trade deficit with, or he believes are unfairly taxed American companies overseas. Okay, that's a good thing. Biden states why America must lead again. Biden plans to help America's position in the global economy by investing at home innovation and the middle class first. Okay, sounds good. And then we get into jobs and wages. We already know that Trump created a lot of jobs, and he said that the job creation was through a $2 trillion infrastructure bill. He floated the idea to the government, but the government shot it down. Trump also wanted to boost the manufacturing in the U.S. and aim to bring, listen to this, don't forget, America's homeless percentage has increased like 12%. He wanted to bring jobs back to America, almost 1 million jobs, manufacturing from China. Okay, and I know there's a really bad stereotype that everything from China has lead in it, and that's false, because I know a lot of you guys go on Temu and everything you bought off of Temu doesn't have lead in it, but I digress. Biden, the plan involves building renewable energy, infrastructure, anchor institutions, and climate resiliency industries. It included increasing funding for such programs as the new market tax credit. All right, he helped to plan manufacturing sector, including quadrupling funding, blah, 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 right? So I skipped climate change because who cares? It's going to do what it do. Don't get me wrong. There are some people for climate change. Again, that's not reparations. And neither is wiping away student loan debt. Thank you. Request $66.6 billion for the Department of Education. Okay. Replace the 4 income-driven repayment program with a single one that cap monthly payments. Okay. This is for your student loan debt relief, whatever. He's going to cap it at 12.5. They cannot make it more than 12.5 for school in America. Biden, he plans to include immediate cancellation of a minimum of $10,000, which I heard he has canceled some people's debt. Question: is canceling school debt good or bad for America? And I know that's a very vague question. I could probably give you a more targeted, specific question, but I really want to know, is counseling people's school debt a good thing or a bad thing? Number one. Then two, who do you think that helps the most? And yes, I'm talking race. What group of people do you think it helps the most? A lot of you going to say, well, there's a lot of Black Americans living, below the poverty line and with these school debts, so it's going to help Black people more. But what if I told you there is twice the number of impoverished white people? The only reason why the numbers are more inflated is because they take it based on your population and then a percentage of that. So that's why the numbers seem larger. But when it comes to the total number of people, meaning not percentages, those simple numbers, it's white people. So there you have it. I'm just giving you a breakdown. Biden proposed forgiving all undergraduate tuition-related federal student debt for low-income and middle-class individuals. Underfunded minority-serving institutions, this would be funded by repealing the high-income excess business losses tax cut in the CARES Act. Okay? It goes on to state up to $20,000 in federal student loan cancellation for those with Pell Grants, held with the Department of Education, up to $10,000 for those with non-Pell Grants. Okay. Everything seems above board. I mean, they have their different ways that they essentially president, but here's a couple of things I'm gonna bring to mind. There's gonna be a lot of zingers like 1994 crime bill. They're gonna put you guys back in chains. You don't vote for me, you're not black. And then people are gonna start bringing up these all lives matter policies. That's what I call them, because they act like these, like this legislation is specifically for black folk. No, they're like, well, it's gonna target majority of black folk, but yeah, it's for everybody. And then when you start calling out invoices of people who have been receiving, certain groups who have been receiving bills and legislation from this country, then you guys have a problem. Then there's a problem. See, my thing is, Ply said something, and I hate to even mention and quote his name, because he's the same Sambo. They're talking about that the illegal immigrants are coming over here to take our jobs because we're lazy. But it's something he's stating about making your own choice, making up your own mind, and not have people speak for you. And I totally understand that. But here's something else. You need an unbiased opinion, right? Especially for Black Americans. This is probably the most important election. And then somebody might say, well, the next 4 years might be the most important election, and next year. But we have an epidemic, we have a pandemic of illegal immigration in this country, and the current president in office is doing nothing about it.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott refusing to give up control of the Texas border to federal officials, saying the state will not give federal agents full access to Shelby Park today. That ignores a deadline set by the Biden administration, which is today. Instead, Abbott is installing more razor wire following a Supreme Court order allowing federal agents to start removing it. Texas now receiving support from 25 Republican governors, all backing Governor Abbott's border actions, blaming the Biden administration for the crisis. Former President Trump wants to take it one step further. He's now encouraging these states to deploy their National Guard troops to Texas to prevent illegal crossings. Trump's vowing that if he becomes president again, he's going to work with Abbott to seal the border. Writing, quote, Biden says let in those should not get comfortable because they will be going home. I want to bring in Texas Congressman Lieutenant Colonel Keith Self. Congressman.
So they're about to start a civil war on the border of Texas, where Biden is trying to really stand down those Texas state troopers who are enforcing legislation proposed, well, actually passed by Governor Abbott of Texas. So this is one of the major things that's going to hurt Biden in the presidential race, especially when people comb through all the benefits, all the resources, all the support that he has granted and given illegal immigrants. I really want to focus on the word illegal, because a lot of times when you keep speaking about immigrants and migrants, people get triggered. They're like, well, that they over here for a better way. Listen, calm down. If your Uncle Leroy steals from the corner store, he's going to jail because he broke a crime. That's illegal. I'm referring to people who are coming to the U.S. illegally, not those legally. So let's just calm that out. So now that these are the things that Biden has allowed, these are the things that Biden has done. And then every now and again, we have to jog people's memory, because it would be disingenuous not to.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with.
And here's another thing. We shouldn't be taking no damn advice from Charlemagne the fraud. I mean, Charlemagne the fraud. We shouldn't. One day he's on Biden's back before he even spoke to even black people. And here's the thing. The Democrats, they always wait. They're like, you know what? We know we got the black vote. What group of people do we need to really go at? You know, we're really hurting in the Hispanic community, Mr. President, for your reelection. We need to target Hispanics. So I think a way is to allow illegal immigration inside the country and say that the country needs it and that we have all these titles and sections within our law books that allows it temporarily until we grant them asylum of being refugees. And then when you guys go inside federal law and read about the refugee law, when you read about seeking asylum, it has nothing to do with the economic migration of people coming over here. There's an economic migration going on right here in America, but people are trying to say, oh, these are asylum seekers. They're coming from conflict zones and war zones. So you mean to tell me the entire country of Venezuela is coming to America? If the entire country of Venezuela, okay, and I'm stretching a little bit, is coming to America, then where's the conflict? If everybody's going to be here, where's the conflict? That's what I want to know. But they will have you to fool you, and at the same time, straining the resources of black community by allowing these things to occur. But see, we don't want to remember the disrespect that we got from the Democratic Party. That would just be too easy. We don't want to forget the disrespect of the Democratic Party when a guy before he became president stated, if you do not vote for me, then you are not black. Damn. The disrespect. The disrespect. We don't have any respect in this country. And guess what, family? We don't care. A lot of us don't care. We have people in influential positions to change the hearts and minds of Black America. Even though we're not a monolith, but any influential, famous, well-known person says something on social media or allows something, Black folk tend to flock to those people instead of the ones trying to give an unbiased, non-discriminatory opinion of the political structure here in America. That's what we want to do. But they can get up on these talk shows all they want and flip the strip.
Ask you, Charlemagne, I mean, you made some waves in a recent interview saying that you regret endorsing Joe Biden. Why?
It's not that I regret endorsing Joe Biden. It's just that, I think that we all can get burned, by politicians. Because when I say endorsing, I put my name and my reputation on the line with my listeners. And when my listeners feel like he didn't deliver, they come back to me and they say, hey, man, you're the one who told us to vote for, Joe Biden. You're the one who told us to vote for Kamala Harris. So, I care about my listeners and what my listeners think. But I do want to say that, I think President Biden historically has been a lack of a better word, a shitty elected official. But, Donald Trump is the end of democracy as we know it.
So you'd vote for Biden?
So Charlemagne gets up here and said all these things about Joe Biden, right? Let me back this up. I want to re-emphasize this. I want you guys to hear this once more.
You're the one who told us to vote for, Joe Biden. You're the one who told us to vote for Kamala Harris. So, I care about my listeners and what my listeners think. But I do want to say that, I think President Biden historically has been a lack of a better word, a shitty elected official. But, Donald Trump.
He called Joe Biden a shitty elected official. That's what Charlemagne said. But don't forget the previous 4 years before that, he was really trying to get something out of Joe Biden. Listen to this. If I can get this.
The Democratic Party is a diverse coalition of voters, with a large part of that coalition being black voters. If President Biden wants to win re-election, he has to make sure that every member of that coalition feels motivated to get out and vote. And right now, 10 months out from November, there's a lot of talk about how fragile the Biden base seems to be. Charlemagne the God is the host of the popular morning show, The Breakfast Club. His popularity with the youngins has put him in a unique position to impact the world of politics. He has praised and criticized both Donald Trump and President Biden, and interviewed politicians from Biden to Obama. And his sometimes contrarian views have brought him significant media attention, including this recent profile in Politico, which talked to him about the frustration some African-American voters, mainly black men, are expressing about the Biden administration. Biden's deputy campaign manager, Quentin Fulks, who ran Senator Raphael Warnock's second senatorial campaign, recently addressed those concerns.
I know that it's not possible for a Democrat to be elected president of the United States without winning the African-American vote, and therefore our focus is going to be on making sure that we have those voters, that they know that we want to continue to earn their continued support or work to earn their continued support, and so that's where our focus is. But look, we've come out the gate swinging. The other notion that I don't like when it comes to the African-American community is that it's black men versus black women, and I'm also not going to let that take hold in this campaign.
Charlemagne's new venture with politics and culture analyst, political strategist, and my friend, Angela Rye, and friend of the show, is aiming to give voice to the rising majority in America, which is who Biden needs to listen to if he wants to win.
They're using me and the things that I say about President Biden administration to say, see, look, black people are totally, fed up with Biden and his administration. I don't speak for all black people. Black people are not monolithic. My name is Leonard McKelvey. They call me Charlemagne the God from Mount Carmel, South Carolina. I speak for me and my perspective.
Yeah, who is your audience? Tell me the demo of your audience. Who are they?
I mean, it varies, right? Because I'm 45 years old now. So, we've been number one, 18 to 34 the last few months, but we've also been in number two, 25 to 54.
Yeah.
So I think my audience is just a diverse group of people, like, black, white, brown. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's just the youth, like some people may think.
But, Angela, I mean, there is this whole conversation about are black people pulling away?
So Charlemagne the fraud has flipped once again. And that's why you can't really follow entertainers, family. You really can't follow entertainers because they don't have an idea. They don't have not one idea, right? But they're very influential because, again, he's on the Breakfast Club or the Breakfast Schlums, however you want to say it, but he's syndicated. So that's why he's very influential. Now, there's some things in the black community that reparations will absolutely assist us in being at a better position than we are. I read someone's comment the other day, I think it was either early this morning or late last night, about we should not get cash payment reparations because we are financially illiterate and that everybody will be walking around with Jordans or something like that. Something very racist, something that's very, those white supremacist tropes that people tell us that we're just going to go and buy Louis and Fendi. Majority of black people are going to handle their business. And that's what people need to understand. And we don't stand for anything, we'll fall. I mean, if we don't stand for nothing, we'll fall for anything. But the point of the matter is that's where people are writing and people are reverberating these white supremacist tropes about black Americans. Okay. So when we look at the black population in the U.S., this is from blackdemographics.com by the way of the U.S. Census Bureau. If you see that, the release date was June 2023 of this current information. They do source all the information they post on their website. This is very important because people can stop saying we are 13% of the population. We are 13.6 population. We are 15% of the population, whether it be black people and people who are now adopting the term mixed. Okay, it's kind of like the same thing in South Africa. You have white, you have black, and you have colored. So now they probably start putting mixed in with black or right above black, the way they may do it here. But nonetheless, they're stating here the black population is 15%. Again, that's 15 million people. And they go on to birth rates and things like that. Okay, I just wanted to point that out to you. Now, with contrast, listen to this, that according to Bankrate, 40% of Black households have student loan debt, while 15.3% of Hispanic households in 2021, and then 17% of Black borrowers were behind on their student loan payments. Why is this important? This is important because for some reason, the Democrats is now selling student loan debt relief as reparations. They're trying to state that by wiping away, it's a significant percentage of people who are going to college, but it's not more than the Black community itself. So this won't be reparations, but for a third of us. Okay, not even half of us. But again, reparations is not student loan debt relief. That's not what this country is built on. This country is built on enslaving one group of people till the day they died, and their children until the day they die, and work them to death, literally. Not only that, from the Emancipation Proclamation, so-called pulling ourselves up by our bootstrap and creating our own towns, they then came and stole our land and killed us off our land and raped our women. These white supremacists, that's what they're done. That's what they did. So when people tell me that we are not owed reparations, not only are we owed, we deserve reparations. This is not a gift. This is not a grant. This is a debt that needs to be owed. And we're going to stay beating the drum and never stop. You're always going to have naysayers when you're trying to do, when you start to deal in power, when you start to call things out. So there are some other things I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. There's some other things here that I want to bring to your attention. Federal student loans for associate's and bachelor's degrees. So Black Americans at a higher rate of getting their bachelor's degree than any other group at 76.1%, according to educationdata.org. Let me move down here a little bit. Then we have student loan payments by race. If you notice, Black Americans have the highest student loan repayment. And then I pointed out something here that was very intriguing because, yeah, as Black Americans, we're looking at every other group in America and what they receive from this government. And we ain't hating on what they have. Hold on. We are not hating on what these other groups have, but we're going to look at what they received, how they received it, who they received it from, and why we don't have it. That's the thing. I'm not going to go in like, well, the Native American? Yes, I sure am. American Indians and Native Alaskans are the most likely to have monthly payments of less than $250. So Black Americans, our payments are $250 or more, but the American Indians are the most likely to have monthly payments of less than $250. I wonder why. I wonder why the Native Americans don't have as much student loan debt as Black Americans. I wonder. It states here, according to the 2022 census, 17.1% of Black people in the United States live below the poverty line. Okay, they said it's a record low, and this is probably the legislations and acts that Trump passed that came into fruition, because that's what someone told me. Well, you understand that when Donald Trump was in president, the reason why things went so well is because of President Obama's legislation, because they take time for the economy. They're just not exact. I said, okay. Then Trump came into office, and then mid his term, things started to drop, and then people blamed that on Trump. And I was like, well, the economy is good, but this is bad. Oh, well, that was Barack Obama. So when Joe Biden is in office now, they're trying to convince us that all of these things is what Trump did when he was in office. Okay. So again, we're playing that game. Someone threw the rock and hid the hand. Listen, family, that's why we can't really pick a side here. We have to pick our best interest. We cannot pick a side. That is where we tend to go wrong at. It states here, official poverty rate for Black adults ages 18 to 64 was at 15%. 15%, y'all see that? I know it's a little cut off there. 15% though, family. 15% living below the poverty rate. Let me tell you why this is important. Of these trending analysis that people have been pointing out. Let me tell you why this is important. And again, this information is coming from the Census Bureau by the way of blackdemographics.com. And if you notice, it says Black families in poverty, 05 to 18, from Bush to Obama to Trump. So basically, by that narrative that people give, that it takes time for legislation to take place, they're basically stating that from the Great Recession, somehow George Bush helped the economy, right? The economy reset it, and then into Obama's administration. So Obama gets no credit for the uptick in his early part of the years, okay? Because they say they take a couple years. So here we are in 2008, okay? Where Black families in poverty was at an all-time low. And then right after the Great Recession, was it the Bush policies? Okay, and then they rose up. And then when Obama, after a couple of years, Obama took over, are you now stating that these are Obama policies? Because Obama was in office 8 years. Obama was in office 8 years. So are we looking that we got poor? Did we get poorer? Wait a minute. Did we get poorer under Obama? And I know some of you are like, don't you talk about my president. Don't you talk about my president, Obama. You better not be doing that. Listen, family. If that's the case, then from 24 to 23 to 20%, guess what that's now telling us? That Barack Obama policies kill the economy, and Trump at 18.5 coming in had to fix the economy. You see what I'm getting at? How was this going down? How were we getting poorer under Obama? But when Trump came in after 2 years, those rates started to decline. But we're going to give that to Barack Obama? No. And this is coming from blackdemographics.com, by the way, of the Census Bureau. Let's move on. I don't want to beat the dead horse too much here. Percent of families in poverty, right? And this is compared to all families in the United States of America. Black families at 18.5% of the poverty, compared to the entire U.S., 9.3. Wow. In all of these categories, I want you to see who are the head runners. Married couple families, higher. Under 18, higher. With children under 18, higher. Female with no spouse, 30.6. With children under 18, almost 40% are in poverty. Then they break it down even further to individuals. And again, we're leading in all categories. This is not a good thing. And again, my disclaimer, I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I am not a conservative, but I do have conservative views on some things, and I bet you all do too. I tell you, someone had to break it down to me. It's a huge difference between just being a Republican and having some conservative views. Because guess what? I have some liberal views. I have some liberal views as well. And that's what you're going to understand. See, the whole term policies over party is a very, very powerful thing, because currently there's no policies that is going to significantly and specifically benefit foundational Black Americans. So these numbers may rise if Biden becomes president again. That is what I'm getting at here today. Because before I even, you know what? Before I even break this down even further, because of all these other groups getting this, billions of dollars. Let me see if I can fix that for you guys. This getting billions of dollars. But they tell us that we should pull ourselves up by the bootstrap. Well, my question is, how are we going to do that if we don't have boots to begin with? See, that was one of the things that Dr. King was stating right after that, or right during that time of I've been to the mountaintop speech. He was talking about Europeans coming over here getting land grants, okay? They're getting all this assistance from the government, and land grants is free land. All the while, they was telling black folk to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, where hundreds of thousands and millions of black Americans didn't even have boots. That's the words of Dr. King. Very, very, very powerful words by Dr. King. I see we got Bulls fan in here, Brick City brother, B1. We got Leonard in here, B1 to you, brother. Alexa says, I think along with cash payments, we should have tax-free status. That money won't matter if they tax into oblivion like they did everything else. Shout out to you, sister. Absolutely. I agree. And that's why you see what you see on your screen. The so-called Native Americans. And we understand, I'm not going to get into the history. I'm not going to dive into Dane Calloway's lane, but I will say this. There was Native Black Americans as well as the red Mongolian-looking type Native Americans here prior to even 1526, where the first slaves were brought to South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia area. But there are some things we need to talk about even while we have this popped up. There's some things I need to point out here really, really quickly between these two guys right here. Where these guys at? Let me show you these guys really quickly. Because when we contrast these two, Joe Biden's economic agenda raises eyebrows. His proposal, including like tax hikes on high earners and corporation, risk stifling entrepreneurship and dampening investment enthusiasm. No, you're not going to do that to us, because Trump's administration, love him or loathe him, Trump's policy fueled remarkable economic growth. His tax cuts injected vitality into the market, boosting job creation and catalyzing GDP expansion. He done all of those things when he was in office. Because the pre-pandemic economy, characterized by historical low unemployment rates across demographics, and as Democrats would say, that helps black people ride. Him canceling student loan debt helps black people ride. Him investing in minority communities help black people ride. So if Trump is decreasing the unemployment, that helps black people ride. Yeah, these very vague and bold statements that they try to have you to lean on Trump. They have you lean on lean on Biden. I was about to say Obama. Damn, you might as well say Biden is Obama, right? But turning to, like, when we look at the political landscape, family, I know we have to address the elephant in the room. And that is the disillusionment among black voters, among people like ourselves, who's contemplating if we're going to vote at all, let alone what candidate we're going to vote for. Because Biden's track record, particularly his involvement in the 1994 crime bill, I hope we haven't forgotten, that locked up a lot of our grandfathers, our fathers up, our uncles up, our aunts, our mothers up. that particular bill has a long casting shadow of his relationship between us and him. Because his response to call for police reform, he has not done. Where's the George Floyd? Where's the George Floyd Policing Act? Where's the proposal for wiping away qualified immunity? And matter of fact, Joe Biden increased the police budget, let alone decrease it. He increased the police budget, and at the same time, George Floyd bill just pretty much got ignored. The George Floyd bill just pretty much got ignored, family. No one did anything with that. No one did not a darn thing with the George Floyd bill. And guess what the George Floyd bill was about? Nothing. It was a nothing burger. It had no punitive or protections. There's no punitive things that the bill would have gave power to, and there's no protections that it would gave to us in the first place. So when we look at it, even that was a nothing burger. We just had a bunch of empty promises, right? And not really even promises. They really kind of talk around the fact, right? They talk around the fact. Let me move on here, though. I just want to go down some quick things really quickly here. Here we go. So when we talk about the housing program, because we spoke about homelessness, look what the Native Americans receive. And this is an addition to their yearly budget, $1.2 billion for housing. Another billion for what? Education programs, schools, education agencies, and colleges and universities. So when you look at the amount of money that Black Americans spend back to loan debt relief versus Native Americans, they don't spend over $250, but we do. Now you know why, because they're getting federal money to subsidize those loans. Come on, family. Then they're giving the families of Native Americans $1 billion. And listen to this. Yeah, Flint, Michigan still has contaminated water. Still has contaminated water today. I've been following stories, and Flint, Michigan's water in the Black neighborhood is still contaminated. But the Native Americans got $20 million for potable water delivery. $20 million. $20 million to deliver drinking water. But they want us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. They want us to somehow conjure water out of the air while you are delivering water first class to other groups. And this has nothing to do with the Native Americans. This is not divisive at all. Has nothing to do with the Native Americans. We're just showing what they're receiving and say, you know what? You want our vote? Give us that. Not only are they getting stipends every month, that's mean cash, in their bank accounts. Not only are they getting housing grants with the cash in their bank accounts, these are the things that we have to look at. These are the things that we really have to not let go away, because they're going to forget. We shouldn't forget. You got all types of money for every other group except for us. But let me show you something, family. And this is not to fearmonger you into not voting. This is not to fearmonger you into voting for Trump. This is not to fearmonger you into voting for Joe Biden. This is giving you the information that I believe that will be beneficial, because I'm already predicting Donald Trump to be president. I know you know the term of tired of being sick and tired, or sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know how it goes. Let me see if I can get this up without this thing jumping around on me. Let's see if we can get this. Let me get this queued up. Sometimes you just have legislation that they may propose to try to tantalize the Black vote. Let's see if we can get away from this commercial. See. Yeah, of course they're gonna do a commercial. Of course. Give me a second, family. All right, here we go. Here we go.
America's homeless crisis now reaching a startling record as rents skyrocket and the pandemic aid ends. There's been a 12% spike in the number of people living on U.S. streets this year. Our homeless population is now the highest on record. Brian Yennis is live with more on that. Brian.
John, good evening. This is the highest number of homeless people recorded since the federal government started this particular survey in 2007. The increase is primarily driven by people who became homeless for the first time. Just over 653,000 people were experiencing homelessness on a single night in 2023. That is up 12% from last year. Black Americans continue to disproportionately be impacted, representing half of homeless families with children in America. Notably, this is the first time in a decade that family homelessness has increased in the U.S. There are 100.
So there are some real problems that we are experiencing under the Biden administration. And I showed you guys that timeline. I showed you guys how policies did take effect during certain times and how Trump, when it came to the economy, family, don't beat me up because I'm saying something about Obama. Don't beat me up. The entire time that Obama was in office, those 8 years, the economy, black people became poor. Then unemployment decreased under Trump. Now under Biden, we see all this homelessness rates. I'm just pointing out some things here to you, family. Again, I'm not trying to sway you guys one way or another. And as you state, over half of the people that are homeless, over half of the people who are homeless are Black Americans. But let me show you this real quick. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. I think you guys are going to enjoy this right here once I get this queued up. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this on here. Why does this always do that? But you know what? I'll play this clip. I think this is an important clip too. I think this is really important, family.
I just love you. No, that's
That's so crazy, right? So basically, they made a parody. They made a parody of Tim Scott because during a speech, Donald Trump basically called him out of switching. And he said, nah, I just love you. There's like a Negro running back. But here's another strike against Biden. The reason why Donald Trump will win the presidency. And I'm not telling black folk to vote either way because I'm going to go be on the couch. And yeah, Tiffany Cross. Was it Tiffany Cross? I don't want to call out people's name. But here's the thing. I'm going to point out a person who was talking about, oh, sit on the couch and listen to these people, Roland Martin, all these people who are just bought and paid for bootlegs, family.
Cities all over the U.S. have been bracing for an influx of migrants that appears to be well underway, and many from coast to coast are finding they don't have the resource to handle all the demand.
And that includes right here in Chicago. Casey Cronus continues our team coverage live from the city's South Shore neighborhood.
Natalie and Anthony, South Shore neighbors are pushing back against the city's plan to house several hundred migrants at the former and now vacant South Shore High School. They tell us they have now filed a lawsuit against the city in an attempt to halt that plan. Located at 76th and Constance, the city is eyeing the building for another migrant respite site. This as officials have run out of room to house migrant families, many who are still sleeping on the floors of local police stations. If their plan goes through, the school would become a site where migrants could temporarily sleep, eat, and shower. But many residents aren't happy about it and made that clear during a meeting last week. And in about 30 minutes, they'll once again gather at the school to protest the city's plans.
Looking at the numbers coming out of City Hall and the state of Illinois, upwards of $150 million roughly for 6 months. we believe that that 150 million would have been in some way eligible to come into our communities to help our crime problems, help with our economic problems, help with our housing issues. And as we all aware, black people are the largest number of homeless in Chicago. So if you're going to help anyone, help the current black homeless first.
Thank you there, Brian, for letting me know. I thought I fixed that. I was trying to get a thumbs up earlier from the audience, but hopefully we fixed that audio issue here, family. So basically, that was the resident of Chicago calling out how they coming up with $115 billion for illegal immigrants versus the black residents who have been living there and struggling, and they've never given up any money to support them. Again, this is all the way by Biden with these sanctuary cities, right? And it's trying to prevent governors like the governor from Texas, Governor Abbott, as well as Governor Ron DeSantis. We know what that means. But here's another thing, and hopefully we can hear this. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear this when I play this to you guys. Let me know if you can hear this.
Did you, Jim? And think of it. Appointed, and you're the senator of his state, and she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Listen, Tim Scott got up there and told the world he loved Donald Trump, and Donald Trump came right back and said, that's what makes you a good politician. And basically he's saying that nigga know what to say and when to say it. Because he like, you flip-flop on Nikki Haley, the one who appointed you to your position. And we need to understand Tim Scott is he's not only a coon, he's not only a Sambo. Hold up, family. I gotta, you know what? I gotta do it to you. I gotta do it to you. I gotta do. Yeah, so I had to do that to you guys real quick. I'm tired of these Negroes, man. I'm tired of these buck dancing Negroes doing anything for a job. That's what he's doing, family. He is auditioning for a position. I mean, can you blame him? Is he smart? But I love this. This is a great depiction of Tim Scott. Bucky's. He was out there bucking them eyes. I just love you, Donald Trump. I want to run to you. Hoo-hoo. Let me know. He said he's still low. Oh, gosh. I thought I fixed it, brother. My apologies. Let's do this one last clip. Very quick clip here. Let's see if we can get this a little bit louder for you guys.
Teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Okay, did you guys hear what he said? Okay, family, follow me. Did anyone hear that clip? Hopefully it wasn't low. I thought I probably potentially fixed it, but maybe I didn't. But did anyone hear that? Did anyone hear that? So basically, he's at this rally, and Mr. Daddy posted it, says, "Don't mess with what now?" Hopefully you let me see if I can play it one more time. He said he heard it. Okay, let's hear this one more time because it's late at night, family. At least for us old people. But hopefully you guys will listen to this before you go out, eat dinner with your family, or just chilling at home, relaxing. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel where I give positive insight. And of course, I read your comments. I reply to you guys. We're going to have a discussion because we're not monolithic, but we do need conversation to depict, break down and analyze what these politicians are not saying. See, we're so focused on what they're saying, we're not focused on what they're not saying. Okay? So that's where I'm at when it comes to.
Teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Hey man, I hope y'all laughing as good as I am. I swear. I'm not doing any sort of like age discrimination, but it's time for him to sit down. It's that time. It's that time. It's that time. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this right here. Plies stated, I'm just a fan of the truth. That's all it's about with me. Again, vote for whoever you want to vote for, but I love listening to the educated speak. Whoever this queen is, let her know she has a fan in me. Love it. Okay. So I'm gonna let you guys listen to some of this. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys listen to some of this. Let's see here.
Hollywood Unlocked, the Jasmine brand, others, they have posted some true stories of this exact type of student loan forgiveness. And y'all, the comment sections are in shambles. I'm seeing everything from, it's too late, Biden, go to bed, you're old, to, we don't care, get Biden and Kamala out of there, y'all are all cap. Frankly, I'm just really confused. Didn't the culture say that we wanted student loan forgiveness? Didn't we say that that's what we demanded of this administration? Because the culture right now.
She keeps labeling black folk as the culture. Like, 'cause I know it's a slang term, it's a slang word, but didn't the culture, she's saying, didn't black people listen? When we look at the comparison of the impoverishment rate of black Americans compared to those with degrees, it's not equivalent. It's only like 15, 20, maybe 25%. A third of black Americans have student loan debt, while the rest of us is owed reparations. So instead of speaking to what we are owed, you have people like her speak down to the black community about student loan debt relief. That's what the culture wanted, right? What about people who are not even in college yet? What about people who didn't go to college? What about people in their 30s, 40, 50, and 60 who have college degrees, who paid off their college degrees, and they're still struggling in this economy? They're still struggling in this country. Either we're getting our heads bashed in by the police, and granted, I think a lot of us haphazardly, a lot of black Americans haphazardly, we have a fear of the police. No, don't get me wrong. You're not fear of the man, but when you see a police in the cut, one of the quick things may come to your mind is, please don't fuck with me today. I hope he don't pull me over. And you know you're not even speeding. You know that you have your seatbelt on. You're obeying the law to the T, but for some reason you're still like, damn, I hope they don't mess with me. That's what we go through. But I'll let it finish.
Now is literally getting thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars forgiven directly because of actions of Biden and Kamala and this administration. But now all of a sudden y'all in the comments talking about it's too late and we don't care? Make it make sense. Because it can't be too late because, I don't know, forgiveness today does not increase your FICO score. It certainly does. So are you telling me that it's too late because the popular political narratives of the culture in this moment is that Biden and them ain't done nothing for black people? So we plan to stay home on our couches or go vote for Trump come November because, you know, Trump did give us a stimmy check? Knock it off. For real. And by the way, Biden also gave us a stimmy check. I digress. Just tell me you don't.
You know what? I digress too, because it's getting real disrespectful. You see how when they don't get the black vote, they get these black people up here and try to speak the slang and try to coerce you, manipulate you, guilt you, make you feel bad to voting Democrat once again. Oh, because Donald Trump gave you a stimmy check? That shit came and went. People was high off the unemployment checks, but that's neither here nor there. People are not going with Trump because he's giving out stimulus checks when he come into the presidency. No, I'm standing on the couch because there's nothing on the table for black Americans. Now, if he passed Student loan debt relief, would that help Black Americans? Yes, but it helped white Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, and every other American. So it's nothing specifically for us, but as I showed here, family, they have other legislation for other people that is specifically for them. That $31 billion on top of the annual budgets to Native Americans, guess who that goes to? Specifically Native Americans. That's who it goes to. That's who it goes to. It goes specifically to Native Americans. This is the crazy thing. Look at this. This is my brother Marcel Dixon. He said there were Black Union soldiers as well. Black American freedmen have been fighting to end slavery for centuries before the Civil War. Also, using your logic, these white men died to free us. That means these same white men will fight to death. Okay, to get our reparations. Okay, and then reparations have already been paid. Talking about white men who died on the battlefield. 360,000 soldiers who died fighting to end slavery. Now, my question is, why didn't they tell the Native Americans that? Why didn't they tell the Japanese that? Don't forget, Black American soldiers died too. Okay, and no dishonoring their deaths, okay, the white soldiers, but let's be real. This was about power. This wasn't about freeing the slave. This is so the North can unify the country for power, because you had the Confederate States and you had the Union States. That's why it was called the Confederates against the Unions. So again, you're going to see all these zingers and buzzwords and people getting on TV being disrespectful. And guess how they get you? Have you noticed all the women, okay, because I'm not judging men when it comes to their physical appearance, but all the women are pretty. That's right. You don't see too many old or unattractive Black women speaking down to Black folks to coerce us and guilt trip us into voting Democrat. They always find someone who is pleasant on the eyes and who is articulate when they speak, right? Because thing is, oh, you know what? She right. Because they did the social studies where people who are handsome and people who are pretty, okay, say all those things, that people are willing to accept more from them in all these different categories. It was an astounding study. So that's why you see people who are handsome, people who are pretty and beautiful and this, that, and the other and attractive, why they get all the jobs. Because when they come in, if you're articulate, we can have the same skills, but let me tell you, that's just the human mind, family. So don't be fooled by a big butt and a smile. Don't be fooled by a big butt and a smile, because again, when it comes to reparations, okay, when it comes to a federal protection law like the anti-hate crime bill, let me point this out very quickly. I don't want to beat the drum too long here, but this is from, the FBI Crime Data Explorer. And look, bias types. Anti-Black is 3 times more than Jewish, 3 times more than anti-LGBTQ, 4 times more than anti-white, roughly 4 times more, and 4.5 times more of anti-Hispanic. And what's the number one, what's the majority group when it comes to bias and discrimination? What is it based upon? It's based upon race. You see this margin here? It's based upon race. And this is from the FBI crime data. So when you start getting to gender and disability and sexual orientation and religion, it's only a small portion. When it comes to race, majority of the hate crime is based on race. Is more than 50%. And guess what? We have more than a third. So who do you think need an anti-hate crime bill more than any other group? Black Americans. Oh, should we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get a hate crime bill? How are we going to do that? I hear nothing. See, everybody is anti-reparations. The only thing you're going to do is go, let us bow whatever the hell we want to bow with our money. That's the first thing. Y'all need a pocket watch somewhere else. See, the people who are mostly speaking out are mostly some of the people who are not qualified for it. Immigrants that may look like you, suspected white supremacists, anti-reparationists. But we can't even get a hate crime bill. But you know what? Guess who can? Guess who can get a hate crime bill, family? COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. It became law on May 20th, 2021. You say, well, Blacklogic, that is a hate crime bill for everybody. That was based upon COVID-19. Well, this is a law. This law hasn't expired. So I wonder what this law entails. Okay, Congress, blah, 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 COVID-19 hate crimes. Okay, wait a minute. Following the spread of COVID-19 in 2020, there has been a dramatic increase in hate crimes and violence against who? Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. That's who. Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. What about black folk? What about Jewish folk? What about Hispanic folk? What about white folk? Oh, it only occurred to Asian Americans. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to put legislation in for any anti-discrimination and incidents towards Asian Americans. It says here, during this time frame, race has been cited as a primary race for discrimination. Really? Race has been the primary reason for discrimination. That's remarkable. That's astounding. Oh man, I can't hold my enthusiasm. You know why? Because we're 3 times the amount of hate crimes in Asian Americans, and we still didn't get anything close to the sort. It says making up over 90% of incidents, and the United States condemns and denounces any and all anti-Asian and Pacific Island settlement in any form. Roughly 36% of these incidents took place at a business, and more than 2 million Asian American businesses have contributed to the diverse fabric of American life. That's the esteem that this administration holds Asian Americans in high regard. I'm not hating it. If you cooler with the Asian Americans than you are with black folk, then stop coming to black folk for the vote. Stop showing up at our damn churches. Separate church and state. Stop coming to our community centers. Stop coming to our town halls. Stop coming to our ghettos. Stop coming to our hoods. Stop coming to the black community and asking for votes when you are passing legislation for other groups that had hate crimes for 1 year, more than the typical amount, but we are 3 times more than any other group. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. That's what we go through, family. That's what we go through. So, with all due respect of one of our master teachers, that for some reason, all of these people, all of these bootlicks, all of these Sambos, all of these Democratic shills, all of these political pundits, all of these liberals who are jumping on the bandwagon, again, I'm apolitical. I'm not a Democrat, not a Republican, I'm not an independent. It's on black empowerment. Because the truth should set us free and put us in a better place than we ever could be. So with due respect of our great master teacher, listen to him. Don't listen to me. Listen to Dr. King speak truth to power and understanding how this white supremacist government has ignored us for far too long. This is all due to Dr. King right here because he spoke truth to power. Everybody just want to talk about, I had a dream that one day. No, I've been to the mountaintop.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Very powerful words from Dr. King. And I believe that is a great note to end this broadcast on. Thank everyone for joining me here this evening, speaking truth to power here on Blacklogic. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps the algorithm, and give it a thumbs up to draw attention to the conversation, the space, and building a channel so we can unveil the lies and deceit. And at the end of the day, family, everything spoken here today was just revealing what Joe Biden has done and what he hasn't done. Because when he got up on that podium and stated, the African-American community had my back, and now I'm going to have theirs too. I have one question for you. Do you believe like he has your back now?